Everyone. Welcome to the Dr. Inia Desnia show. Excited to be here. Hope you guys, everybody's having a great time. If this is your first time of joining me, just wanted to let you know that appreciate everybody that has joined me. And if this is your first time, don't mind me, just a busy day for me. So excuse me. Anyway, thank you for being here. If this is your first time, this is where I share tips and resources for SMEs. And if you don't know what SMEs is, small and medium-sized enterprises, or so small and medium-sized businesses, where I provide information and resources. Again, this is, if you haven't been with me before, but I have to say this is for informative and educative purposes only. All right, very good for you to have work with a professional. Of course, if you don't have a CPA that works with you, of course, you can navigate on my website there, the drniadesnia.com, and then it will link you to my CPA website where I do consultations. All right, so let's get right to it. Now, I'm going to talk about another interesting topic, of course. I'm going to talk about the flexible savings account. Health is a flexible savings account, and there's a health savings account, HSA and FSA. I'm sure you've heard about it. I'm not really going to go into all the details because I have a show that actually explains it in detail, but I just to bring this up because it's something that every business should implement, right? It's just a refresher. Again, not going through every single detail, but explaining to you what it is. If you haven't watched that, I advise you to go and watch my program on FSA and HSA. So, but I'm just going to give you some kind of background and explain to you why it's important for you to have one of the plans, right? Why is it important, right? So let's dive into FSA and HSA. I'm going to start with the HSA. But anyway, both of them actually pre-tax. Pre-tax, you contribute into any of these plans, the HSA and FSA, before taxation, before taxes. So there are contributions made towards medical expenses. So there's health savings account and FS and flexible savings account. What's really, again, I'm not going through all the differences, but let me highlight some of them. The HSA, right? A self-employed person can actually set up an HSA. Self-employed, right? You can set up an HSA, but you can't set up an FSA, right? FSA is basically for employers, right? Now, so if you're only a self-employed by yourself, you have to look at an HSA, right? The good thing about an HSA, that is because I'm talking to business owners now, but the HSA, some of your employees might say, you know what, I want to do an HSA because it's portable. If the employee leaves, the person can take their HSA with them. All right. So that's one of the good things about an HSA. All right. Of course, sometimes you don't use up all the money you put aside when it comes to, as I said, is for medical. You put aside money for medical, for medical expenses. You might not use everything in that year, right? The good thing about the HSA allows you to carry it forward to the next year. Now, when we're looking at the flexible savings account, it does not allow you to do those things that I've mentioned, right? But again, it's an employer plan. All right, I'm not going to go through the details of how to set it up and everything. And of course, there are many more, pros and cons or disadvantages and advantages depending on what your goal is, right? So why is it important? Why do you think it's important to set up this an HSA on the FSA? Why is it important, right? Oh, before I even go there, I want to actually mention here that when you're choosing what plan to go with, as a business owner, please make sure you look at the administrative costs. When you're working with someone, say, okay, I'm interested in setting up either an FSA and HSA. Look at what works, the overall objectives, the pros and cons, and which one works for your company. All right. Okay. So now, why? Am I even talking about this, right? I'm very huge when it comes to I'm very huge on, or when it comes to tax planning, right? There's some things just right under your nose, and you say, "Oh my goodness, if only I knew." Okay. Now, I started by saying that this is pre-tax. What does that mean? You do not have to pay taxes on the money you put towards an HSA or an FSA. You don't have to put money, you don't have to pay taxes. So that's why I said it's pre-tax. All right. Of course, there's limit, there's a limit you can contribute to either FSA and HSA. There's limits. The IRS gives, puts limits out there. But the good thing is that it's pre-tax. The beauty of this is that, of course, when you go to the doctor's office, most times you pay a copay, right? And if you don't use your HSO or HSA or FSA, you're paying after tax. That means that you've already paid tax on that money that you're actually using to swipe or put a check down, or any form of payment. You've already taken out tax from before you pay that that copay, for example, even medication, right? You've already, if you're taking it out of your salary, or some people say, yeah, I use a credit card, but you still pay off the credit card from the money that you already pay taxes on, right? Now, the beauty of this is that, again, it's pre-tax, right? So, of course, you're already spending money. This is really, it's not even something to even analyze so much, because think of it, you're already spending money. You're already swiping your payments for, copay, some, treatment. You're doing things like that, right? After tax. So this is actually tax savings, right? Very, very important. Tax, is tax. You're saving on taxes, right? But you have to also remember, if you use that HSA, right, or FSA, usually you have a card, money is put on a card. If you use any of those funds for anything else other than medical, then that becomes a problem, right? Because you have to, it's taxable. All right. So it's very important for you to always use your card on your medical expenses. Another great thing about the FSA or HSA generally is that, it's like if you as a business owner, it's like is a way, it's a way of just showing your staff that, okay, you're concerned, or you're interested or, well, would I say concerned? No, you're interested in everything that pertains to them, right? Some of them might not know that there's an FSA or HSA, but imagine you come here and say, you know what, there's a way you can do this, so we can actually save you some money on your taxes. Isn't that beautiful? I know I talked about staff turnover, right? Sometime, one of the programs, one of my shows. And I said staff turnover can be very expensive, because you don't count the time you look for a replacement. That's then training, all those things, that's downtime, right? And so even if the person is experienced, the person has to understand your system. Okay, so why do people stay why would people stay, right? Why would people stay with you? Why do you want, how do you, let me put it another way. Okay, what would encourage people to stay with your company? If somebody is concerned about my welfare, like even things as like medical and things like that, of course, that's a plus. That's a plus. People generally, I'm talking about generally, they want someone that, cares about things that pertain to them. So one thing, as I said, great that is tax saving, that even as you, depending on the structure of your business, of course, you pay yourself a salary, right? So things like that should actually be something that, even if you're the only employee, right, of your company, think about implementing any of these plans. Think about it, right? And of course, if you're struggling, you don't have anybody that you're working with, please, that's my website, make sure, just contact my practice, and then we'll work with you. All right, to, connect you with people that do the FSA and HSA, and then you find out what works for you. All right. So the good thing here is that, again, is pre-tax, tax savings. Yippee! Very excited, right? Concern about your employees. People are happy. Your concern is not only about deadline, you're concerned, okay, yes, have you thought about this? Right? Because and the thing is, they're already spending the money, so, right, for medical. So these are some things. And of course, remember, not only for them, yourself as an employee, as an employee of your company, because this platform is for business owners. All right. So think about that. You're already spending it, the money, as I said. Why don't you get a tax savings and not spend after tax? All right. So again, I mean, look into it. And it's one of the forms of tax planning that I advise clients on. And of course, there are so many other areas, but I just thought that it's important to mention this. Make sure that you are aware. And if you want to, find out more details and that what is really the advantage and disadvantage, of course, you can go and watch my program, but it's important for you to state your objective. That's why I always say this is for informative purposes only. It's great to speak to a professional one-on-one, so I can actually say, okay, what are you really looking at, right? What are you really looking for? What are your goals, objectives, right? And of course, I always look at cost benefit analysis to make sure that you're choosing the right path for your business. All right. So thank you for being here. I hope I've shared something that is very helpful. And of course, if you don't have a CPA that's working with you, please don't hesitate to reach out to my practice. Thanks for being here. I'll see you next time. Bye.